you are hunkered down at home and staying safe from the coronavirus and also helping protect our most vulnerable populations. And so I thought, what a better time than to give you some entertainment and also to help promote some amazing business people in the community. So today I have the privilege of introducing my guest, Daria Howell, and I'll bring her up in a second. But just to let you know that she works with clients using biodynamic cranial therapy and functional nutrition and lifestyle counseling to relieve pain, release stress, and achieve life balance. Nutrition and lifestyle coaching packages are what she offers, and they're available after her initial consult. So I'm going to bring her out here. Let's see. There she is. Hi, Daria. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. This is so nice to have you. So, in doing this series, I decided that what we're doing is going deep. So we're getting to learn about one another more because one, we actually have when we get to know each other better and we get to learn more about each other, there's more trust, more understanding, and to me it's so important in building relationships and doing business through building relationships. So with that, I do want to hear, first of all, kind of like just looking at what's pressing at the moment. Coronavirus, COVID-19, it's on our minds. There's a lot that's been happening, especially over the last couple of days. Um, how has that been affecting you so far in your home or in your business?
Well, I happen to be in the supposedly at-risk category because I'm over 65. I'm always, fairly healthy. I don't get the flu. I don't get colds, so I'm not too worried personally. But I do want to honor, what's been stated as good public policy, and so trying to hunker in at home for the most part. I am still seeing one-on-one clients, the ones that are brave enough to come in. So it's just people that I'm already, pretty much used to. So I'm not like seeing a bunch of strangers. So hopefully that works out okay. And, my nutrition consulting, I just do virtually. So that's not a problem.
Nice. Yeah. Well, and I like that you're still serving your clients. That can be very hard to do in these times. You're able to do some of it virtually, which is nice to have. And thank you, technology. And then the other part is that, meeting people where they're comfortable. So I've noticed that, I was having some appointments in person, just like meeting for coffee not too long ago. And now it's really like stay at home and not endanger others, especially because a lot of what they're saying is that the people who are spreading it through community spread, maybe they don't have any symptoms, they're not sick per se, but they're able to kind of spread it without even knowing it. So that's, I think, the biggest danger. And just all doing our part to help with this. So with that though, I want to talk to you about how you got into what you're doing. I know you mentioned a few things that you're doing, and I definitely want to talk about what those are. But really, I just want to talk about how did you get into this field? What does it look like? What was your path? Tell us a little bit about that. Thanks.
How far back should we go?
Go all the way back.
Way, way, way back when I was a wee one. I just was always interested in health and nutrition and bodies, all those things. I mean, I'm the oldest of 5 children, and when I was little, I would go get my mother's Dr. Spock just to read about the health tips in there for health for children, right? When I was in 6th grade, we got our first health. We had our first health class, and so I got a hold of that textbook and just like devoured the whole thing before class. I just was fascinated by it. I don't know why. I think I told you that my religious upbringing was a little bit strange, and I always had this promise of having perfect health eventually down the line, right? And yet, all around me, people were really, really sick, including my own family. So, my dad had back surgery when I was 10. You know, he was maybe 30 something, and he had his first heart attack when he was 39. Oh. My mother kept having a surgery after the next surgery after the next surgery, different body parts all the time. And she ended up being diagnosed with lupus when she was still in her 30s. Wow. So, like, I have these terrible, terrible genetics. And I'm really like concerned that I want to stay healthy. So I was always like gleaning whatever I could. When I became a young mother, it was back in the 70s. And one of the health gurus at the time, her name was Adele Davis. And so I was reading up on all of her stuff, and I was getting all the white sugar out of my house and baking my own bread and doing all the things. And my poor little son at the time, he would sit in his high chair. Instead of having baby food like normal children, he would have plain yogurt with raw sprouts that weren't, I mean, those were healthy at the time. You don't necessarily do that now. But anyway, raw sprouts and then raw sunflower seeds. Boy, but he liked that stuff. And yeah, he grew up to like forage in the garden and have like radishes fresh out of the dirt with the dirt still on them. Anywho, so yeah, that continued for a while, but then I don't know what era was it? 90s, I guess, when 80s, 90s, when low fat was all the thing, and I mean, yeah, low fat, which of course is actually a high sugar diet.
Yeah,
and I went into that like both feet, and I don't think it's that healthy, actually, you know, to do that, because I started to have really pretty severe health challenges then. And I went through this period of severe depression after my daughter was born, actually. So that would have been in the 80s. And I ended up down in Arizona to visit somebody sent me down there because we didn't have the money to even do that. So I'm down in Arizona. My mom takes me to this holistic doctor, and he right away like subtracts all the sugar out of my diet, and he's got specific supplements he puts me on, and you know, different things. And I just had like this whole shift in my environment of, you know, having like sunshine instead of Pacific Northwest gloom, and I had, you know, my family there for love and support and all the things, and we were having fun, and I got better. I got really like, wow, this really makes a difference. But and also, you know, I think I wouldn't have done it without the professional help. Mm-hmm. So as life progressed, and I left that first marriage eventually, like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? I decided to go to massage school, because that was a helping, you know, sort of health profession you didn't have to have a college degree for, or you know, go to lengthy schooling for. So I did that, and that was fun for a lot of years. I got to help a lot of people out of pain, and I was constantly counseling them as well on, you know, all their other lifestyle things, because I just knew that from my personal study and from applying those things in my life. And you know, I was popular. I was a popular therapist in our clinic, and you know, eventually life progresses, and I've given up the massage part of that, but I do enjoy doing CranialSacral Therapy now, and also this nutrition consulting. So that's what I do, and that's how I got there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by craniosacral? Maybe, you know, not just what it is, but, and, you know, basically how does it work?
I don't know how. I don't know that.
How does it work?
I don't know if anybody knows how it works. Yes, so there's different styles of cranial therapy. So most people know the up-ledger style, which is also known as biomechanical.
Okay.
And that's actually, the therapist is more or less assessing and providing interventions that help the cranial rhythm function better and help position the cranial bones better, and so on and so on. I was trained in that initially, but what I love to do now is called biodynamic cranial therapy. And it's more of just a practice in stillness and just inviting the health that already exists in the body to expand and infuse the entire body with the healing that needs to happen. So we're trusting the intelligence of the body to create the ideal healing session for that individual at that moment in time. So I don't go in with any sort of pre-planned, session in mind. I don't have a treatment planned in mind, but it always works out. Like whatever needs to happen happens, and it's kind of trippy. It's sort of like being meditated while you're on that table. So both the client and I enter this field, right? And it is like an altered dimension, like when you are meditating. And I don't know, people need to experience it to see what goes on. But oftentimes it will help with pain. What it's probably the best at is helping, peel off layers of trauma and helping the person to just be in their parasympathetic nervous system state, which is the state where you must be for any healing to occur. So most of us go around in fight or flight all the time, which is your sympathetic nervous system. And that puts a terrible load on your whole body. So no wonder we're breaking down all the time. No wonder our immune systems are more vulnerable when we're in that state. So like the first tip that I have, even for this, this whole virus thing, is chill. Get more rest. Find ways to access your parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, it's important advice, especially right now. I mean, I think that, for most Americans right now, it's okay, how do we do what we would normally do to have an outlet is maybe not available or not as accessible right now. So, how can we still, get into that parasympathetic system and then feel calm and also do that at home, So I think there's a lot of questions people are having. They're trying to rework their schedules, their playtime with their kids. I mean, they're trying to think of anything right now. So it's important. What you're saying is very important right now. And any tips you have for people who are at home and maybe can't get to that biodynamic cranial therapy, what kind of tips do you have?
I can do remote sessions too.
Remote sessions. Oh, good.
Yeah, but like I think a lot of health professionals are recommending, like if you have a yoga practice, make sure you keep that up on your, your class is probably shut down, but you can still do it at home. Yeah. There's plenty of YouTube videos if you don't have something that you're paid for that you're streaming or whatever, but you can do that. You can do obviously meditation. I know a lot of people use I think an app called Headspace or something, but I have one that's called Insight Timer. And woohoo, where is it? There we go. It has all kinds of options for you, so you can just like select from thousands, I think, different types and styles. You can have just music, you can have just like frequencies, you can have a guided meditation. But all of that is great for like just training your brain and body to chill. Um, Obviously, also not to neglect regular exercise. You know, getting out every day and doing something active, especially if you can get outdoors. It's not too cold right now, so get outside and have a little bit of nature, a little bit of real daylight. And if you do it early in the day, that's double bonus points, because then it stimulates your pineal gland to produce melatonin at the right time so you can go to sleep.
Yeah.
And stay asleep better. Yeah, so many benefits to just like getting into a rhythm that's keeping you on a more even keel, and yeah, all those things. What else would I do? Obviously, you can take Epsom salt baths. Those are really good for calming everything down, for relaxing muscles. If you've got some tension happening. If you have a sauna, that's I happen to have one, so that's really good on many levels. That also
Yeah.
immune system. Without
Yeah.
breathing. Yes, this went off as we were starting to talk. I actually have my timer set for like 4 times a day to
Mhm.
remind me to breathe.
Nice.
So taking 3 deep breaths, at least 4 times a day, but more often if you think about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your regular practice? What do you do
For what?
for staying calm, getting into that space,
Well, so I
self-care?
don't have to like, be at a job by 8 or 9 and sit at a desk for so I'm pretty much flexible in the morning. So I take a good probably 3 hours to do various self-care things. I do get up early. I say an affirmation when I first get up. I drink 2 full glasses of water first thing.
Mm.
And I go down and I flip on my insight timer and I do some meditation, minimum of 11 minutes, but oftentimes it'll be longer. I have a series of PT exercises I'm doing right now that are very yoga-like and very, some of them are stretchy. So some form of stretching, yoga. There's also a fascial flow that I learned to do that's helpful. So I just vary it so I don't get bored. And then, are you still there, Molly? I
I don't know what happened.
she left me by myself.
I'm like, what is going on? Where did I go? Hello.
And then I want to incorporate, some sort of other more active movement. So I will do a little like high intensity intervals or some resistance with weight sort of workout. And then I like to go outside and get at least a 30-minute walk in the daylight so that it, triggers that melatonin thing. Because as you get older, you will find out particularly that sleep becomes very precious. And then I'll just come in and fix a really healthy, if I'm not like really intermittent fasting that day. Some days I do. Sometimes I wait till like 11 or 12 to eat. But if I'm having a normal breakfast day, I'll make a very healthy breakfast and then, on to my day with my breath breaks and then, the other tip is you don't just sit and stare at your screen forever. You stand up once in a while,
Yeah.
because that gets blood flowing to your brain. And yeah, you want to remember that sitting is not good. It's like the new smoking, so they say. So
It's like what?
the new smoking.
The new smoking. Oh yeah.
So you gotta like remember to stand up and move around whenever you can. Like keep the water going.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
I love it. I mean, these are all the things, we hear about and people say that you need to do or that would be a good idea. And we're saying it again. We're saying, hey, and Daria does this, and look at her. She's doing great. So, I mean, I think it's really good, wise advice and definitely much appreciated. Um, can you talk about the functional nutrition and what does that mean? How is that different from eating healthy? And where do you learn it? Like what, give us a little intro to that.
So I got a health coaching certification from the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. But then I found out about Andrea Nakayama, who actually lives here in Portland. And she was running a business called Replenish PDX at the time. It's now the Functional Nutrition Alliance. And she has a program for training health professionals. She trains people all over the world. Many of them are doctors, acupuncturists. They're already nutritionists. They come from all the health-related fields, wanting to learn this approach. So functional medicine is one thing, and there's functional medicine doctors who have particular strategies, protocols, tools that they use in treating patients. The thing with doctors is they don't have the time to devote to each individual that a coach or consultant would have. So we consider ourselves as filling a gap between the doctor and the patient and partnering with all of them. Like, we're not telling people what to do, but we're getting in there and figuring out what is bio-individually going on with this person and how can we best address what they need, what they particularly need, and translate their doctor's advice into usable, practical steps that they can actually put into practice so that it becomes part of them. It's not just, oh, I have to do this, right? It's, oh,
Okay.
this is who I am. This is what I do.
Cool. So what does that look like? I mean, does somebody go to a functional medicine MD and then or naturopath, and then they have a diagnosis or a prescription? I mean, or how do they work with you?
Well, they don't necessarily have to do that step. I mean, I'm just explaining like how it came about, I guess.
Uh-huh.
It came through functional medicine. But we are not medical practitioners. We just fill a particular role in a person's healthcare scenario, whoever their team is, whether they even have a team. They don't have to have a doctor, obviously, to work with us. But it's helpful. I mean, usually people who come to a functional nutrition consultant have something that they're kind of concerned about. Most people are not on the prevention train, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So they've got a little something going on in their body that's concerning, and so they want help figuring out, well, what do I do about that? I've tried these diets. I've gone paleo, I've gone Whole30, I've done keto, I've done all the things, and I'm not seeing a big difference. So what do I do? Or a lot of people just know that they're not good at making themselves do some of the things they know they should be doing. And so they're kind of looking for someone to say, yeah, this is necessary.
That's good, right? I mean, if they're at the point where they're saying like, okay, this is necessary, I need help, like, right? Like that it's important. Their health is important to them. It's a priority and it's time for change, right?
It's time for change, right? So I think my particular niche, if you will, is people who want to age well, because I'm in my late 60s, doing pretty darn good. And people are like, I want to know your secret. Well, okay, I share, come work with me.
Yeah.
But I also, I have started a walking group coronavirus and weather permitting, where we talk about some of these things every week. So that's something I can give. But yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We were just starting your walking group, and now it's like you have to walk 6 feet apart or
Yeah, that's
3 to 6 feet apart or something like that.
Well, if you're trying to talk, by the way, I just
Walk with me, but you can't hear anything that I'm saying.
nobody else can be on this path at the same time.
Maybe it's more like you've got you've got your advice or your session, and they can just listen to the recording on their headphones, and like when they go out for a walk they can listen that way too. So
yeah, but the beauty of the group obviously is that it's interactive.
Yeah.
So I'm asking questions, they're asking questions. It's a back and forth thing. So doggone it, but it's not forever.
Not forever. Well, you can do it via Zoom. I'm a big Zoom fan.
I heard about that. Like,
you can do it via Zoom, and like everybody can just be on the same Zoom, and you can do it on your phone, and you're like, walking along.
I'm a little more technologically advanced to like monitor the chat simultaneously, and like,
yeah, you just tell people, you'll check the chat in 10 minutes, No, I don't know. I'm always like, how can we find a way to like work around it? Like not just stop everything, because I have so many things going on in business. And like I said, it's all about building relationships. And so if we stop that completely, I mean, that's really stopping the business in its tracks, right? So how do we continue that? For NABO, we are continuing our meetings online via Zoom. It's going to be a challenge. I mean, it's going to be something different, right? We may have people who are jumping on late or who don't know how to get on the technology. I've had whole Zoom sessions where their camera's not working. I can't see them at all, right? And so that can be an issue. But, my thing is like, how can we work around this for now, just for the time being? We know this is not going to last forever and take out all of mankind. So we're going to just, do our part for now and trust the rest of we're trusting the rest of humanity to help with eradicating what's happening, with this outbreak. And the way that we can do it is by giving scientists enough time to come up with solutions, and then also giving our own clients solutions that they can work with, right? So for you, you're able to work with people in functional medicine via Zoom. So if somebody were working with you, what's that like? Do they go through like a big intake and then kind of tell you like, these are the issues I'm working on, and then you have specific recommendations based on that? Or can you tell me a little more?
Yes. So I actually use the Functional Nutrition Alliance intake form, which is pretty comprehensive. Asks a whole lot of questions. And they have to fill that out before we have our first official session. And then the first session, we're going through that. I'm asking a lot of questions, filling in the blanks, so to speak, so that I can create what's called a timeline, which shows, the events in their life in relation to various signs and symptoms that appeared. And, a lot of times they're making connections that they've never actually seen before through doing that. So I create this quite involved timeline, and it also, notes what their particular issues they want to work on, and also very important, why it is why they want to work on it. Because if a person isn't clear on why that's important to them, it's very easy to, slip into your comfort zone and think, oh, that big bad doctor or that big bad nutrition coach, is making me do this, and I don't, and you find yourself resisting it. Whereas when you are aiming towards something in a positive way, it's far more motivating. So we have to
Mm.
keep, reminding people why they're doing it, and hopefully that strengthens their reasons for taking action. So anyway, we put together that, and then we also have this tool called the Matrix, which is just like the whole story on a single page. It's like a map, and it shows on the one side what the genetic input was, and what the major events in their life that may have caused various shifts in their health, and then what things they're doing, not doing, that could make it better or worse. In the middle, it shows how the various body systems relate to one another. So immunity and toxins and hormones and structural things and digestive things, all of that, it's all like interrelated. And then on the other side, we put all the things that they are doing, but things that can be tweaked lifestyle-wise. So, that includes, of course, their nutrition, but also the movement, exercise piece, the stress handling piece, the social connections, and what else? Their sleep. Yeah, sleep is prime. So there is no healing without good sleep, for sure. So anyway, those are all the areas that we can work on. But of course, each person is an individual. So, you might have two people come to you with the very same diagnosis. Okay, I have, let's say I have diabetes type 2, but they're going to need entirely different protocols because they're different people. They have, different history, they have different preferences, they have different abilities. Yeah, it's getting down down and dirty with each person, and like figuring out how best to create the transformation that they want.
What's what's the most surprising thing that you've learned in your path here with health and wellness? I mean, in the things that you've had come across through your clients and patients.
The most surprising thing, I don't know, just I guess before I got into this, I didn't realize how extremely important our whole entire gut, and from that I mean mouth to the other end, how important that is to the health of everything else. So all of these chronic diseases that we see, you can name them, but even cancer, chronic heart conditions, the diabetes, to autoimmune diseases, all those things are actually strongly correlated with what's going on in the gut, and it can be vastly helped by doing work on your gut, doing it. And, yeah, that was surprising to me. Surprising how far, how much work I still needed and need probably still to do in that area. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
hard in
hear
our
you.
culture. We've got a lot of influences. Even if we think we're a healthy eater, um, that's not the whole story, right? So there's a lot that's against us. Just like we breathe in toxins, we drink toxins, we get them in the things we put on our skin. We're exposed to electromagnetic frequencies. All these things are a load on our system, and we have to know what we're up against in order to like take steps to kind of ameliorate it.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
finished the process before. So after that first session where we're doing all the questions and filling out all the stuff, which I fill out afterwards, and I give them some action steps. Then we do meet. Well, the second time we do meet, and they have the action steps. So I'm confusing that. Both of those things happen initially. And then from there, they want to continue working together. Then we set up, like every other week visit, appointment time, where we just, celebrate the wins, see what's happening, assess what's happening, make new recommendations. We have them track what's going on so we know where it needs to be tweaked. And we're there just like to provide support, because this stuff doesn't turn around like that. It just takes time.
Takes time.
Takes time.
Yeah. What's a success story you can share with us? What's something that you're really proud of that has happened for one of your clients?
Yes, one of my clients had weight issues. She's an entrepreneur, and she was very ashamed, I guess, to show up in person because she felt so embarrassed about the way she looked. She did have quite a bit of weight to lose. She was struggling with type 2 diabetes. She worked from home, so she didn't get a lot of exercise, all the things, right? So we started working together, and she was very diligent about applying the recommendations. When she didn't, we got her back on track right away. And she ended up, so she lost consistently a pound a week. It was just amazing to me. Wow, that's impressive. So she had hoped to lose 40 pounds, and we worked together for 9 months, and she did. She ended up losing the weight. And blood sugar numbers came down, so she was pretty thrilled with that. I was thrilled with that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I love it. I love the stories. So, as we're wrapping up here for today, and if you're watching this at home, if you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, thank you so much. If you have questions for Daria, please definitely type them in the comments, and we'll make sure that they get to her. And yeah, so as some parting thoughts, what is one thing that you see people doing that you kind of wish they would stop doing right now or change? What's the one biggest thing that you see?
Go to sleep earlier.
Go to sleep earlier. I don't have that issue. I get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Go to sleep earlier. Okay.
Well, people are on their devices till 11 o'clock at night or something. I'm no, you need.
Don't do that. Daria says, put the phone down.
Put the phone down. Put the computer away. Don't have the phone in the room with you when you're sleeping. Turn the modem off if you can. Stop the exposure to the EMFs as much as possible. And no, really, seriously, sleep is super, super important. Where all the healing happens, there's if you stay up too late, what happens is your cortisol starts to rise because the janitors are coming in. They want to clean up, but you're busy doing something, and you get your second wind, and then you won't go to bed, right? You won't go to sleep. But if you get to bed earlier, before that happens, then you are sound asleep when that happens, and the janitors get to come in and do all the cleaning, and it's all nice and shiny for the next morning.
Let the janitors do their work in your mind. Go to sleep so that you can be renewed. I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I didn't think about that. For some reason, I thought you were going to tell me, something related to just nutrition. But I think that it's really important to point out that you see things very holistically, and that it's not just this field and this field, and they're not discrete. Your body is this one working organism of all these different areas, and that you have studied so many of those different areas over time. So we're not just talking about physical, even though, sleep, definitely helps your physical body. But I think holistically, I mean, there's so much more to it, and so much that we don't even know, right? That we will never know.
Yeah.
If we had to one last thing. I know I already said that once, but one last thing. How about if you had your choice on the type of client or patient to come into your door, or not, I guess not come in right now, call you and say they want to work with you, who would that be?
It's a more seasoned woman, health conscious person, someone's already concerned about their health, and they have a reason that they want to stay healthy. They have a mission to perform, and they're invested in bringing their best forward. That's the person I want to look at. If they have something that's a little bit distressing in the body, whether it's a digestive issue, hormone issues, sleep issues for that matter, a diagnosis of some kind, whatever it is, it can be addressed holistically. So all of these things that we're talking about, it applies across the board, no matter what's going on. The principles are the same. You have to remove your obstacles to healing before you can make any progress adding in things. So, like, you can be eating the best diet ever, but if your body can't do what it needs to with that food, it's not doing you any good. So you have to make sure that all the pieces are in place. Yeah, and the point you were making before about, I think you were going there. It's about self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loving yourself enough to do this work. Because it's really not that hard once it becomes habit, right? But if you have other habits that you know aren't serving you, then get help creating the new habits that will. Because you're worth it. And because I consider it for myself, and I offer this to everyone, that it's a sacred responsibility to care for these vessels. We are here to, we're basically representing the divine in this on this planet, and so this is like a temple. Right? There's a Jimmy Buffett song he was saying. His wife said to him, "You treat your body like a temple. Like, you treat your body like a tent. I treat mine like a temple, or something." Like, okay, that's cute. But a lot of Americans treat their body like a tent, and yeah, I invite you to treat it like a temple.
I mean, there's always room to learn and grow and change and make progress wherever you are. I mean, nobody's at that point where they don't need to learn more. They don't need to make any more changes. I mean, there's always something. And I think that it's really helpful to just hear your wisdom, your guidance, and to have you say, that treat your body like a temple, that it is, the sacred coming out. And I think that also shows like you said, your self-love, how you care about not just others, but how you care for yourself. It's very important. I think that as we are in this situation where we're preventing community spread and we are at home, I think a wonderful message would be to look within. Look within. How can we take better care of ourselves? How can we make a difference in our households, in our homes, in our own bodies, minds, and souls, right? To really uplift and um, you know learn and take into account all the things that we know we need to do, but also be open to receiving some guidance from other people who've been on this path, like Daria, and really taking that into account and making it a part of our lives. So, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to be at home, to look within and to learn and to be open to what we need to do to make this a better place, not just for everybody out there, but for yourselves, right? So Daria, I just want to say thank you so much for talking today, for all your wisdom. And like I said, we are going to be back next week. Daria and I are going to chat right after this, after I say goodbye to all of you. And we're going to talk about, what topics do we want to bring up for the next time. And if you have questions, definitely, like I said, put them in the comments, and we will bring them up. We'll just be having these conversations so that we can not only provide you with some entertainment, but also hopefully have some good tips on how to make our lives better, healthier, safer, all of those ways. Anything else you want to say before we jump out, Daria?
That last part you added was just wonderful. I agree 100%.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everybody.